Marvel, Hela's husband breaks the universe. Episode 1, My Wife, Hela. Yi-Bai felt very lucky. He was a traverser who accidentally crossed into the very dangerous Marvel universe. When he just came, there was no power, no technology, and no system. But now Yi-Bai had a perfect wife named Hela. Although the name sounds like that of the eldest princess of Asgard, Hela was completely different from that aunt. She just had the same name. Hela's features were exquisite. She was tall, and she had an amazing S-shaped figure. She was a goddess. Except for being a little cold, there were no other shortcomings. Why are you staring at me? On the dining table, Hela frowned and questioned Yi-Bai. Yi-Bai had been staring at her, making her a little embarrassed. Hela, I found that the longer I spend with you, the better you look. I don't know if it's my illusion. Yi-Bai said with a smile and didn't hesitate to compliment her. Hela blushed and became a little shy after hearing what Yi-Bai said. However, she quickly glanced at Yi-Bai, and there were a lot of amorous feelings in her eyes. Glib tongue, hurry up and eat. She said that, but the corners of her mouth rose slightly, and it was obvious that Yi-Bai's praise was successful. Yi-Bai also smiled slightly and enjoyed the breakfast he had carefully prepared. The porridge with preserved eggs and meat was carefully boiled and garnished with some chopped green onions. Along with perfectly fried eggs and freshly squeezed soy milk, it was a simple but nutritious breakfast. You have to go out today, right? Be careful on the road. It's been a little dangerous lately. Swallowing the preserved egg and lean meat porridge, Hela instructed Yi-Bai. Although the tone was still so cold, the concern was almost overflowing. Don't worry, I'm just going out to talk about the copyright of Lord of the Rings, it's okay. I will probably be back by noon, and then I'll cook ribs for you. Yi-Bai said with a smile, so that Hela didn't worry too much about him. As for the copyright of Lord of the Rings, this traverser had no abilities, so he could only act as a copywriter. Yi-Bai earned the seaside manor where he lived with Hela by copying books. I have eaten, and I will go back to my room and rest. Hela was not in good health because of an injury and often needed rest. After breakfast in the morning, Hela usually went back to the room to sleep in, and today was no exception. Wait a minute, don't move. Yi-Bai stopped Hela, who got up and asked her to stand still and don't move. Then, under Hela's gaze, Yi-Bai gently wiped away the traces left on Hela's mouth when she drank the porridge. Okay, take a good rest. Hela's shiny white face visibly turned red and tender. After giving Yi-Bai a reproaching look, Hela ran back upstairs. Yi-Bai smiled. Not caring about his wife's embarrassment, he cleaned up the dining table. Although everything that should have happened between husband and wife had happened, she was still shy in front of him, just like a little girl. Hela was the eldest daughter of Odin, the king of Asgard, and the first heir to the throne of Asgard. For some reasons, Hela broke up her relationship with Odin and was sealed by Odin. It was not until recently that Hela escaped from the seal, but she was severely wounded. She hid in Midgard, which was Earth. Then she was helped by Yi-Bai. Thinking about Yi-Bai's affectionate action in the morning, Hela's heartbeat increased. Too shameful, she was a famous killer in the 9 realms, symbolizing the existence of death. When had someone molested her like this? In the past, other men would die in Hela's hands as long as they looked at her. However, Hela's heart was not disgusted with Yi-Bai's intimacy. On the contrary, there was faint enjoyment. This feeling of love, Hela had never tried it, but surprisingly, she was not disgusted. Driving Ferrari's latest sports car, Yi-Bai drove out of the manor where he and Hela lived. As for the copyright, it was natural that Yi-Bai wouldn't just copy the book Lord of the Rings. Yi-Bai had not left anything that was even a little bit famous, such as A Song of Ice and Fire, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Hunger Games, Twilight, and so on. Relying on the manuscript fees earned by copying books, Yi-Bai had an amazing net worth of billions and ranked among the upper-class society. Today, Yi-Bai was about to talk with a film company about the film adaptation rights of Lord of the Rings. With Yi-Bai's wealth, he rarely went out alone under normal circumstances. It was completely reasonable to hire 8 to 10 bodyguards. Yi-Bai did that until he met Hela. It wasn't that Hela would protect his safety. With his wife's delicate body, Yi-Bai was the one protecting Hela. After picking up Hela, Yi-Bai's system had suddenly awakened. Waking up every morning, he would get many weird rewards. Tom Cat's experience of catching a mouse. Licoon cigarettes that you can never finish smoking. A hairpin worn by a magical girl. The porcelain bowl Aurelia smashed when she was a child. In addition to these useless rewards, there were some very valuable rewards too. The shooting skills of the sword sage wolf. The Big Wolf Science and Technology Encyclopedia. Little Master's cooking experience. Drifting cornering skills that never roll over. Kryptonian General Zod's body template. Especially the body template of General Zod. This was the cause of Yi-Bai's confidence, to be alone without bodyguards. Although it had not been long since he obtained the General Zod's body template and had not absorbed much sunlight. But on the current Earth, it was completely enough. After all, even Iron Man had not been born now, and a certain purple sweet potato was still floating in the universe. As for being a hero, Yi-Bai had never thought about it. He just wanted to live peacefully and happily with his wife, Hela. That was enough. Whether a superhero saved the world or not, wasn't the wife more important? If it was a big deal. Like when the purple sweet potato comes to the Earth in the future, it was not too late for Yi-Bai to show up. Yi-Bai believed that by then, he would definitely be able to easily kill the purple sweet potato. While thinking about these things, Yi-Bai drove the Ferrari sports car, skillfully overtaking one car after another, and soon came to the entrance of the film company. After stopping the sports car, Yi-Bai tidied his clothes and stepped into the elevator. For a book writer, film adaptation was definitely a large income, so it should be taken seriously. Upstairs, a group of sturdy people in black with fierce gleams in their eyes looked at Yi-Bai below. The goal has come, get ready. One of the black-clothed men said viciously to the others through the walkie-talkie. Obviously, the film copyright this time was not as simple as Yi-Bai imagined. Episode 2, Gangsters and Daredevil. In New York City, the order during the day belongs to the government, and the order at night belongs to the gangs. The Underworld Emperor Kingpin led the largest force of the underworld gangs. In recent years, with the continuous rise of the talented writer Yi-Bai, more and more greedy eyes had been placed on this talented writer. Which includes the Underworld Emperor of New York City, Kingpin. Yi-Bai soon took the elevator to the floor where the film company was located. Fisker Film Company was the name of the company that intended to purchase the copyright of novel series Lord of the Rings. Hello, this is Yi-Bai. Inform your boss. I came over today to talk about the copyright of the novel. Yi-Bai found the front desk and said. Strangely, the front desk of this film company was not a woman, but a burly man in a black suit and sunglasses. I see. You can go straight to the end and then go in. The seemingly violent guy at the front desk rudely said to Yi-Bai and then closed his mouth. Yi-Bai frowned. The front desk's attitude was really not good. Had it not been for this film company to have agreed to pay sky-high copyright fees, he would have just turned around and left. Forcibly suppressing the unhappiness in his heart, Yi-Bai came to the designated place. He knocked at the door and entered. The room was empty, with only a large table. There was no one inside. What the hell are these people doing? Yi-Bai frowned and walked into the room. What made Yi-Bai feel even more strange was that it was clearly daylight. But for some reason the curtains in this room were still closed. Shortly after Yi-Bai entered the room, there was a sound of footsteps in the corridor outside. This was by no means a single person's footsteps, but a large group of people. Soon, the door of Yi-Bai's room was thrown open, and a group of men in black suits and sunglasses walked in. It was headed by a person who was over 1.9 meters tall and wore a large and thick gold chain with a thumb around his neck. You are Yi-Bai, the author of Lord of the Rings. The person came and asked Yi-Bai in an angry voice. Forcibly enduring the unhappiness in his heart, Yi-Bai nodded. At that time, the last man in the suit had come in and had closed the door and locked it. I'll pay $1 to buy all the copyrights of your Lord of the Rings. Come and sign it. After hearing this, Yi-Bai understood. Where was this buying copyrights? This was robbery. After realizing this, Yi-Bai's face also became cold. If I say no, what will you do to me? Yi-Bai said coldly, facing this gang of hunks. There was no fear at all. These men in suits laughed, as if laughing at Yi-Bai's innocence. The brawny man who led everyone directly took out a pistol from his arms and placed it on Yi-Bai's forehead. Either come over and sign, or I will put a bullet in your head. It's your choice. Either live or die. If Yi-Bai was just an ordinary person, maybe there was really no other choice. But now, Yi-Bai's eyes became colder. He also understood that these people were not a film company, but gangsters. Do you know? I hate people pointing a gun at me. Yi-Bai said coldly, without any fear at all. Seeing that Yi-Bai reacted like this, these gangsters were also surprised. Shouldn't ordinary people kneel on the ground and cry for mercy right away, facing the black hole of their gun's muzzle? What's the situation? Were the people who wrote books such fearless people now? But it was just a little surprising. Of course, they wouldn't really kill Yi-Bai in a single shot. If they do so, the Yi-Bai's body would be worthless. But they were not helpless. You had to know that death was often a kind of relief. If you couldn't survive and you couldn't die, then living was the really torture. Now that Yi-Bai had fallen into their hands, they could naturally do whatever they wanted, and there was time to get something of value out of Yi-Bai. Just when this group of gangsters were going to knock Yi-Bai unconscious and take him away, a black figure kicked the glass window from outside the building. The man wore red tights all over. He was the famous Daredevil. This superhero, who was active in Hell's Kitchen, could be said to be the most troublesome opponent of the underground gang. These gangsters obviously didn't expect that Daredevil would actually break in at this time. But these gangsters were not slow to react. They took out the pistols in their arms and aimed them at the Daredevil who had broken in. When dealing with Yi-Bai, they would not shoot, but dealing with Daredevil was completely different. Moreover, the space in this room was small, and Daredevil's activities were restricted. Facing the concentrated shooting of these gangsters, it was very likely that at least one shot will be effective even if they were not good at shooting. It's just that everyone ignored Yi-Bai. He had no patience anymore. Yi-Bai was already very impatient when he got to know that these people were not here to send money, but to grab money. In addition, these people were evil gangsters, so there was no need to have any scruples. Yi-Bai didn't hesitate anymore, and shot directly. He punched the 1.9-meter tall man in front of him, who smashed into the glass window on the side and fell directly downstairs. Then he hit the nearest gang member with another punch, who flew out, smashing the walls of the room. At this time, the rest of the gangsters reacted and pointed their pistols at Yi-Bai. However, it was just too late. Yi-Bai had obtained the body template from General Zod, although it had not absorbed much solar energy due to time. But it was far more powerful than ordinary people. Even superheroes like Spider-Man or Captain America were not as good as Yi-Bai now. At such a close distance, just relying on these ordinary gangsters to deal with Yi-Bai was simply a dream. Yi-Bai easily knocked down these gangsters to the ground. Everyone's bones were broken, and they obviously couldn't survive. At this time, Yi-Bai looked at Daredevil, the superhero who specialized in fighting criminals. "I know who you are, Matt Murdock, the blind lawyer in Hell's Kitchen. You hit these gangsters. Don't say my name, or I will find you." After dropping these threatening words, Yi-Bai turned to leave, not giving Daredevil a chance to speak. Yi-Bai didn't want to expose his identity and attract too many eyes. But it didn't mean Yi-Bai would pretend to be a grandson. If someone who didn't open his eyes provokes him, he will never keep his hands. It wasn't Yi-Bai's style. Daredevil opened his mouth, trying to say something, but couldn't say anything. He wanted to ask how Yi-Bai knew his identity, but Yi-Bai didn't give him this opportunity. Daredevil sighed as he watched the silent gangster lying around. Yi-Bai's fierceness made him worried. "I don't know whether this talented writer will be good or bad for New York." Daredevil sighed. Then he took out his cell phone and dialed a familiar number. "Old man, I have something here, I need to report it to you." Episode 3, Hela, Goddess of Death. While Yi-Bai was dealing with these gangsters, his seaside manor also welcomed a group of uninvited guests. In order to get sky-high benefits from Yi-Bai, Kingpin formed a comprehensive plan, which was first aimed at Yi-Bai, and then at Hela. He believed that as long as he caught Hela, there was no need to be afraid that Yi-Bai would not give in. Kingpin's idea was correct, but one thing that he missed was that Hela was not an ordinary person. While the killer sent by him dealt with the bodyguards around the manor, Hela, who should be sleeping, suddenly opened the door of the manor. Yi-Bai naturally arranged these bodyguards. He didn't need a bodyguard himself, but it didn't mean that Hela didn't need it. The purpose of these bodyguards was to protect Hela. It's just that these bodyguards were still too immature compared to the killers sent by Kingpin. When these assassins broke through the obstacles of the bodyguards and broke into the manor, Hela had already gotten up from the bed and came to the living room. "Hurry up. The police will come in 10 minutes. Let's move faster." One of Kingpin's assassins urged his companions. Kingpin was very powerful in New York and had colluded with many politicians. Even the police station had his people. But even if it's Kingpin, he could only make the police come late, rather than fail to come. So these assassins were also under pressure. If the time was up, and they had not captured Hela, this operation would fail. What were the consequences of failure? They believed that no one would be willing to try. With a bang, a small bomb exploded at the gate of Yi-Bai's manor, and many assassins entered the manor. It's just that they thought Hela would find a place to hide, but now she sat on the sofa in the living room and looked at them coldly. It seems that Yi-Bai is getting into trouble outside. Hela thought to herself, but she didn't care too much. This is just Midgard, even if he causes trouble, how big can it be? What's the big deal? She would just expose her identity and turn the entire Midgard upside down. Target found. Hurry up and take her away. Kingpin's assassins didn't expect things to go so smoothly. The target was right in front of them. But after a momentary pause, they quickly reacted and planned to take Hela away. A killer couldn't help but walk towards Hela first, and the remaining killers who reacted a step slower couldn't help but curse secretly in their heart. It would be a great achievement if they caught Hela, but it was a pity that someone preempted it. And as for the assassin who was the first to walk towards Hela, there was a burst of ecstasy in his heart. He seemed to have seen the days when he reached the peak of his life. Hela shook her head, put down the coffee cup in her hand, and sat upright. Then, a pitch-black sword of the night sky was thrown out by Hela. While this killer was still immersed in his bright future, he was hit by the sword of the night sky and it passed through his heart. The sudden change made everyone stunned. Hela slowly got up under the dull eyes of everyone, with a very classical elegance and dignity. A mere mortal, trying to be unfavorable to God, it is not a pity to die. Hela said lightly. But she had pronounced the fate of these assassins. These assassins also reacted, and their eyes revealed fear. Mutant. Yes, Hela's methods were completely like mutants in the eyes of these assassins. While thinking of the power of mutants, many assassins panicked. At this moment, they ignored the order to capture Hela alive, and all of them raised their guns at Hela. What about mutants? Under their powerful firepower, there was only a dead end. Hela dismissed these guns as toys, waved her hand, and several swords of the night sky flew out. And it was accompanied by several killers being killed by the sword of the night sky. This efficiency of killing was simply creepy. The assassins could no longer control the fear in their hearts, and they fired at Hela one after another. But when those bullets came in front of Hela, they seemed to hit a transparent wall and froze in front of Hela. Boring. Hela said lightly, and then dozens of swords of the night sky flew out. Which was like the sharpest sickle of death, accurately harvesting every life present in the manor. This time, the assassins were completely shocked. They didn't have the courage to stay any longer, only fear and anxiety were left in their hearts. In their eyes, Hela was not a human at all, she was the most terrifying devil who had crawled out of hell. Just in front of Hela, no one could escape, and no one could survive. In the end, all the assassins who broke into the manor died under the swords of the night sky. Hela didn't look at these mortals anymore. After stretching, she returned to the room gracefully. Just before she left, she stretched out her right hand and snapped her white and slender middle finger with her thumb. The next moment, the bodies of the killers who were impaled to death by the sword of the night sky disappeared, one after another, leaving no trace. For the time being, Hela did not plan to tell Yi-Bai her identity, and it would not be too late to have a showdown with Yi-Bai after she regained the throne of Asgard. Yi-Bai didn't know that Kingpin's assassins had attacked his manor. At this time, he had just walked out of the supermarket, still carrying some fresh ingredients in his hand. This was Yi-Bai's habit. He liked to choose the ingredients himself. Otherwise, with his financial resources, any food in the world could reach him in the shortest time possible. I bought an extra chicken to cook for Hela, she is too thin. Yi-Bai thought to himself. Hela was perfect, along with a delicate collarbone in both facial features and figure. The only disadvantage of her was that she was a little thin and had no sensuality. She looked good, but he clasped his hands a bit. Moreover, if you are too thin, your body would become weak. And Hela's body had been injured, so he had to make up for it. Yi-Bai didn't know that Hela, who was soft and easy to toss in his eyes, was actually an out-and-out killer. If those former opponents of Hela heard Yi-Bai's evaluation of Hela, they would cry tears. Where was she thin? Where was she weak? Did you know that she destroyed a planet by herself? Just like mowing the grass, she didn't have any difficulty. A person like this, you tell me that her body is soft and easy to push down? Was it because you had a problem, or did I have a problem? Yi-Bai, who restarted the sports car to go back home, didn't know that he had already attracted the attention of many people. The discussion about the couple Yi-Bai had already begun, somewhere on Earth. 30,000 meters above the sea, in the Sky Mothership, S.H.I.E.L.D. Bureau. Nick Fury put down the phone he had in his hand. Episode 4, Odin's Concerns. Coulson, come to my office. Nick Fury spoke to Coulson through S.H.I.E.L.D's internal network. Then he sat in his seat and looked at the photo of Yi-Bai on the screen. His eyes were flickering, and nobody could tell what he was thinking. Soon, Agent Coulson came to Nick Fury's office and knocked at the door before entering. Sir, what's your order? Coulson said to Nick Fury. Do you know this person? Nick Fury didn't say it directly and asked Coulson. At this time, Coulson noticed Yi-Bai on the screen. I know, the most popular genius writer at the moment, a Chinese descent. I am a loyal fan of his books. I like Lord of the Rings and Pirates of the Caribbean the most. Sir, do you have questions about him? Coulson naturally knew Yi-Bai, he had a habit of reading books. It's just that Coulson didn't understand. Why did Nick Fury ask him questions about Yi-Bai? Don't look at the Yi-Bai's current momentum, but in the eyes of S.H.I.E.L.D, he was still an ordinary person. Being a best-selling author was not worthy of being taken seriously by S.H.I.E.L.D. You go get in touch with him, and if possible, draw him over. Nick Fury didn't say clearly. He wouldn't tell Coulson about many things. It's not that he didn't trust Coulson, but that he didn't trust anyone. Good sir, maybe I can ask him for a signed book. Coulson also did not ask why. This was one of the biggest factor in Coulson becoming Nick Fury's confidant. Coulson never had extra curiosity. He only knew what Nick Fury tells him, and he did what he tells him to do. When contacting him, try to be gentle and avoid conflict. When Coulson was about to leave, Nick Fury said again. Coulson nodded, smiled, and left. Besides S.H.I.E.L.D, there was another group of people thinking about the couple, Yi-Bai and Hela. To be precise, they were thinking of Hela. Odin sat on his throne, bowed his head, not knowing what he was meditating on. Are you still thinking about Hela? Frigga, the queen of Asgard, asked him when she came to Odin's side. Hela broke the seal and escaped not long ago. In Asgard, only Odin and Frigga knew about it. Yes, this kid always makes me worry. Odin also did not deny that he would hide nothing from Frigga, and Hela's thing was the same. Hela became like this. Why did it happen? Don't you know it yourself in your heart? A hint of blame flashed in Frigga's eyes. Although Hela was not her biological daughter, but she brought her up from childhood. The relationship between Hela and Frigga was much deeper than the relationship between Hela and Odin. Seeing Hela become like this, it was impossible for Frigga to say that Odin was not to be blamed. But everything had happened, and it had become a reality. And even if Frigga blamed Odin, it would not help. It was my fault. I didn't teach her well. She should have been my most capable heir. Oh, it's too late to regret now. Now, I am worried that Hela will pose a threat to Asgard. Odin recalled the past. A trace of regret flashed in his eyes, but it faded quickly. This big mistake had already been made, and there was no point in regretting it. It was better to think about how to make up for it. Hela would definitely return to Asgard, Odin knew this in his heart. It's just that at that time no one will know whether it was a good thing or a bad thing for Asgard. I believe in that child, just as I believe in Thor and Loki, they are all children of Asgard. Frigga smiled and said to relieve Odin. The specific reason Frigga did not say was because she foresaw some fragments of the future. She knew that Hela had changed. She was no longer the cold goddess of death of the past, but she had learned to love and be loved. As the god of magic and the most powerful witch in the 9 realms, Frigga's strength was obviously not as weak as in the legend. Especially in some aspects, Frigga was stronger than Odin. 9 realms, Midgard. After lunch, Yi-Bai took Hela to the manor's swimming pool, and the two laid on the deck chairs basking in the sun. Yi-Bai was only wearing boxer shorts at this time, showing his strong muscles. Hela was more conservative, wearing a one-piece swimsuit, only showing his arms and 2 white, tender and slender legs. Yi-Bai didn't know what happened in the manor. Hela had eliminated all traces. The only strange thing was, where did all the bodyguards go? Were they hiding and being lazy? It seems that I have to change to another group of bodyguards. This thought just flashed past. However, Yi-Bai was still looking at Hela. Looking at that delicate and perfect face, white glowing skin, and 2 big white legs with perfect curves, Yi-Bai was dazzled. The look in your eyes makes me feel threatened, so why don't you hurry up and turn around? Hela threateningly said to Yi-Bai. She knew exactly what emotion Yi-Bai's eyes contained. However, Hela didn't take any other actions. Instead, she adjusted his body to make sure Yi-Bai could look and feel better. This was just like saying no from the mouth, but the body was very honest. Yi-Bai smiled, not paying attention. He had been very familiar with Hela after getting along for so long. My wife was bold and arrogant. She said no, but her body was very honest. My wife, I'll help you put on sunscreen so that you don't get tanned. Yi-Bai said maliciously and quickly put it into action. Of course, this was just an excuse. Hela's skin was so good that she couldn't get tanned no matter how she got sunburned. Yi-Bai couldn't figure out why, so he could only explain it as natural beauty. As for sunscreen, Yi-Bai's home didn't have this thing, he just wanted to take advantage of Hela. Of course Hela would not allow it. She stretched out a leg directly to block Yi-Bai, but Yi-Bai grasped her leg. Looking at the bare feet that were constantly struggling in his palms, Yi-Bai's eyes gradually became dangerous. Hela was very thin, her ankles were also very obvious. Through the white and tender skin, you could even see the hidden blue blood vessels. For Yi-Bai, this guy, he just couldn't bear it at this moment. My wife, it's getting late, let's rest early. Yi-Bai leaned over to Hela's ear and said to her. Hela gave Yi-Bai a blank look, then opened her eyes and said nonsense. When is it late with such a big sun? What idea did Yi-Bai have? Would she not know? He was just greedy for this one's own body. But Hela did not object, or the objections were not firm. Under Yi-Bai's aggressive gaze, Hela finally agreed. Not here, let's go back to the room. Hela whispered. If it weren't for Yi-Bai's increased hearing now, he probably couldn't hear clearly. Episode 5, S.H.I.E.L.D. Bureau comes to the door. Early the next morning, Yi-Bai got up and began to prepare breakfast for Hela. Congratulations to the host for signing in successfully and receiving the reward. See you and Jean Kai-Tian. The system prompt sounded again, but Yi-Bai didn't care. Yi-Bai was still a little excited at the beginning, but now he could deal with it indifferently. He didn't plan to save the world, so why would he be in a rush to become stronger? Life was pretty good now. Wasn't it fragrant to live a plain life with his wife? Thinking of his wife, Yi-Bai's mouth wore a gentle smile. She said that she doesn't want it, but her body was very honest. Tossing all night last night, even more vigorous than Yi-Bai. Fortunately, Yi-Bai's physical fitness was not what it used to be, and he was getting stronger every day. Otherwise, he really couldn't cope with her. But Yi-Bai was also a little puzzled. Normally speaking, her physical fitness should not be able to bear it, but Hela did not have any problem with it, which was really strange. Breaking news: recently reporters learned that terrorists attacked Tony Stark while he was discussing arms trade in Afghanistan, and his whereabouts are currently unknown. Affected by the news, Stark Group's stock price fell in response, and today it fell over 5%. According to the analysis of authoritative financial experts, this decline is only the beginning, and there may be even greater declines in the future. The majority of stockholders, please be prepared. The news from the TV made Yi-Bai stop what he was doing while he was preparing breakfast. Finally, the beginning of the era of superheroes. Yi-Bai murmured. As a traverser, Yi-Bai naturally knew this, and knew that Tony Stark would not only not die, but would also become the famous superhero Iron Man. If it was another traverser, maybe he would be ready to go to Afghanistan at this moment, looking for Tony and preparing to hug his thigh. But Yi-Bai didn't. He didn't have the slightest interest in being a superhero. On the contrary, what Yi-Bai was really interested in was the stock of Stark Group. Don't look at the stock price of Stark Group now falling all the way, but Yi-Bai knows this was only temporary. After Tony Stark returns from Afghanistan and invents the arc reactor, the Stark Group would truly become a supergiant. At that time, Stark Group's stock price would not remain low at all. What Yi-Bai had to do was to take advantage of this decline and quickly buy enough Stark Group stocks. There would be no need to write books anymore. The annual dividends of pure stocks were an astronomical figure. And Yi-Bai could also take his wife to travel around the world and live a life without shame or irritation. Thinking of this, Yi-Bai showed a smile at the corner of his mouth. Then he picked up his mobile phone and found a phone number named Kutcher and dialed it. Hey man, have you heard that Stark Group's stock price has fallen? Just now, you will use all my funds to buy Stark Group stock shares. I want as much as there is on the market. Kutcher was a big crocodile on Wall Street. Yi-Bai's earnings from writing books over the years had been transferred to Kutcher for safekeeping. It was just that he didn't need them anymore. Yi-Bai only needed to buy Stark Group stock to sit back and relax. After that, he didn't need to worry about money in this life. He told Kutcher a few more times. After agreeing to have time for a meal, Yi-Bai hung up the phone and started to prepare breakfast happily. Coulson followed the address in his hand and came to the gate of Yi-Bai's seaside manor. This is it, what a rich man. Coulson looked at the luxurious manor in front of him and sighed from the bottom of his heart. With his salary, this kind of ultra-luxury manor had no chance in this life. But his pursuit was not this, so after sighing, he quickly recovered his normal heart. After adjusting his clothes, Coulson rang the doorbell. Soon, Yi-Bai, dressed in casual clothes, came to the gate. Yi-Bai still felt strange. Who would look for him early in the morning? He opened the gate, only to see a familiar face. As a well-known good old man in the Marvel world, the head of Novice Village. Coulson's face was too recognizable. And to put it bluntly, Coulson was definitely someone Yi-Bai didn't want to see. Because this shows that S.H.I.E.L.D. Bureau had targeted Yi-Bai. Hello, you are Mr. Yi-Bai, right? I am Agent Coulson, from the Bureau of Investigation. I am here to find out about what happened yesterday. Coulson said to Yi-Bai with a harmless smile. Yi-Bai's eyes turned cold. He was wondering whether he should kill Coulson or not. He really didn't want his happy and peaceful life to be broken. But in the end, Yi-Bai opened the door and let Coulson in. Just tell me if there is anything you want to know? Although Coulson was let in, Yi-Bai didn't have the idea of entertaining him, and said coldly. Do you remember what happened at the film company yesterday? Can you tell me about what happened that day? Coulson didn't expect Yi-Bai to be so cold. Wasn't it that this genius author had no heirs? It seems that the rumors were not credible. After taking a closer look at Coulson, Yi-Bai spoke. You can just talk about your purpose, the S.H.I.E.L.D. Bureau behind you. Is it trying to win me over, or do you want to control me? Yi-Bai originally planned to deny it, but after thinking about it, he found that he couldn't deny it at all. He simply explained what was going on, so let's talk about what would happen. Coulson's expression froze immediately. He didn't expect Yi-Bai to reveal his origin in one go. He didn't know how to deal with this situation. In the end, Coulson still spoke to Yi-Bai under the voice control of Nick Fury. Mr. Yi-Bai, the creed of S.H.I.E.L.D. has always been to unite all forces that can be united. With your ability, you can definitely help more people. Would you like to consider joining us? As soon as Coulson spoke to Yi-Bai, he knew that the Avengers had been established. If he had just crossed over, maybe Yi-Bai would really agree to it, but now it was impossible. Yi-Bai would only become a superhero when he was free and had nothing to do. I'm not interested, I'll just say it straight. I don't want to cause trouble, as long as you don't come to provoke me, I won't provoke you. But if you want to control me, I promise you will pay a heavy price. Yi-Bai said coldly, without concealing the threat in his tone. This also showed Yi-Bai's attitude, that was, not to interfere with each other. If S.H.I.E.L.D. Bureau didn't open its eyes and intended to do something to Yi-Bai, then I'm sorry. Yi-Bai would never sit back and wait. It was a big deal, whoever comes first would die, and it was not impossible for Yi-Bai to destroy S.H.I.E.L.D. Bureau. The Earth was only such a big place. Wait for Yi-Bai to absorb the sunlight for a few more days. Then he will blow it up for you. See who is afraid of whom. Episode 6, Kingpin. Undoubtedly, the negotiations ended unhappily this time. Looking at Yi-Bai's strong attitude, Coulson had to retreat temporarily. Sir, this is the specific situation. What do you think? Coulson reported to Nick Fury on the Sky Mothership through his equipment. Before speaking, Nick Fury put his hands together and put it under his chin and thought for a long time. Leave the case for the time being. I will arrange it again later, you should come back first. In the end, Nick Fury still intended to withdraw first. There was no need to push too quickly, causing the fish to die and the net to break. Of course, it's not that Nick Fury was afraid of Yi-Bai. The strength Yi-Bai showed was not enough to make Nick Fury scared. He was just cherishing talents, not intending to completely cut off the opportunity to draw Yi-Bai into S.H.I.E.L.D. After all, such a tool man that could beat people was rare in these years. After ending the call with Coulson, Nick Fury picked up another phone and found a number to call. Soon, the call connected, and a thick voice came through the phone. Nick Fury, why are you looking for me? Nick Fury straightened his body and said, Kingpin, stop your actions against Yi-Bai for me, he is not something you should provoke. That's right. The target of Nick Fury's call was the Underworld Emperor of New York City, Kingpin. After listening to Nick Fury's words, he did not answer immediately, but fell into silence for a while. Then he replied, are you teaching me to do things? Obviously, it was not so simple to make the Underworld Emperor Kingpin easily bow his head. You can try. If you are not obedient, another obedient Underworld Emperor will take your place in New York City the next day, don't force me to do this. Kingpin was very arrogant, but Nick Fury was even more arrogant, and he had no intention of giving him face. This was also normal. S.H.I.E.L.D. was the highest level special department on the planet. It was a violent organization that could override the state apparatus. This kind of department style of action was one word, domineering. If you didn't cooperate, then you would die. S.H.I.E.L.D. was fully capable of doing this. Kingpin was the Underworld Emperor of New York City, but he was just a gang leader. In front of S.H.I.E.L.D., it was just a bigger ant, which could be pinched to death at will. Kingpin obviously also knew this fact very well, so after being silent, he was still subdued. Well, I'll listen to you, that's it. Then he hung up the phone. While Nick Fury slowly got up and came to the window to watch the clouds rise and fall outside. Now that the era of superheroes had not begun, S.H.I.E.L.D. was the most violent organization on the planet, and it treated all objections with force. As the controller of this violent organization, Nick Fury had more power than America's national affairs. New York, Manhattan, inside a skyscraper. The luxurious decoration showed the owner's financial resources, and the embellished oil paintings showed the owner's artistic taste. If you were an unsuspecting person, you might think that this was the bedroom of a certain consortium. In fact, the owner of this house was the well-known Kingpin in New York City. The fat bald man with muscles all over hung up the phone, put down the small cell phone casually, and then turned his body from the boss chair. This was Kingpin, the emperor who ruled the underworld order of New York for 10 years. In front of Kingpin, there were two big men in suits and a man who knelt on the ground and cried silently. "Lance, you are my best friend. You were doing things under my hands a long time ago. I have always trusted your ability, and you have never let me down. But today, you must give me an explanation. Why would you fail to deal with an ordinary person?" Kingpin said in an indifferent voice. However, anyone could hear the anger in his tone. As for the hapless man named Lance kneeling on the ground, he was the mastermind of the Yi-Bai incident. It was not wrong to say that Kingpin wanted to do something to Yi-Bai, but Kingpin would not take care of every little thing by himself. Naturally, this task was left to his subordinates to do. As a result, it turned out that such a simple task that couldn't be more easy was turned over. Even if the car overturned, it was fine. But just now, Nick Fury, the biggest gang leader on the planet, called him and warned him not to attack Yi-Bai. Kingpin was self-aware. He would not disobey Nick Fury, but it was impossible for him to not be angry. So he could only vent his anger on the kneeling person in front of him. "Boss, listen to me. You really can't blame me for this. Everything went according to plan, but Daredevil suddenly broke in. Otherwise, we would have already succeeded, and all the wealth on Yi-Bai's body should be ours at this time. Daredevil is to blame for all this. He is the one who foiled our plan." The man named Lance cried and defended, trying to push the fault on Daredevil so that he could be exempt from punishment. "Yes, you are right, it's all the damn Daredevil's fault." Kingpin spoke slowly and lightly lit one of the best cigars for himself. Then stood up from the chair, walked slowly in front of Lance, and took a deep breath. "Then explain to me, why can't you handle a woman?" When Kingpin said that, of course, he was talking about Hela. If something went wrong with Yi-Bai, it can be said that Daredevil was the main cause. Hela, the woman who was supposed to have no power to restrain even a chicken, turned over unexpectedly. There was no way to make excuses. This was pure incompetence. Hearing Kingpin's question, the man named Lance was speechless. He could only keep shaking his body in fear, but he couldn't think of how to justify himself. "That's it, take him down." Kingpin looked at Lance indifferently and casually ordered the other two men in suits. Don't kill me. Give me another chance, boss, I beg you, give me another chance." Lance kept struggling and begging for mercy, hoping to make Kingpin feel guilt and give himself another chance. "Put him into the factory's blender and feed him directly to my dogs." The Kingpin had completely lost his patience and said cruelly as his eyes flashed with a terribly fierce light. This was not a joke, but he really wanted to do it. I don't know how many unlucky ones had been sent to the mixer to be broken up in the past few years. After he was the only one left in the room, Kingpin regained his calm appearance and sat in his favorite seat. "Yi-Bai, who on earth are you?" Kingpin murmured in thought. He really couldn't guess what special identity Yi-Bai had. Even a big person like Nick Fury was alarmed. Obviously Yi-Bai couldn't be an ordinary person. Episode 7, Hela's Revenge. In the seaside manor, Yi-Bai sent Coulson away and returned to the living room. Hela also woke up at this time and was slowly walking down the stairs. Today, she was wearing a black long dress. She slightly lifted her skirt with her hand and walked step by step. She was like the most classical lady, elegant to the extreme, and like a quiet blooming black lotus in the night. She was pleasing to the eye. "Did you have a guest at home just now?" Hela asked, apparently already knowing someone had been here just now. "Not a guest, a very troublesome guy. But I have sent him away." Yi-Bai did not conceal anything. But he also did not specify Coulson's special identity. Hela nodded and did not ask any more questions. She sat down at the table and began to enjoy her breakfast. Today's breakfast was very simple, just boiled noodles as usual. In addition, Yi-Bai also put some expensive medicinal materials in the noodles, intending to use them to nourish Hela. Yi-Bai once won the reward of Little Master's cooking experience, and I'm afraid that the whole earth can't find a comparable chef in terms of cooking skills. Therefore, even the simple noodles made by Yi-Bai had a mouth-watering aroma. Hela used chopsticks to lightly put a few noodles into her mouth, narrowed her eyes, and nodded in satisfaction. Yi-Bai's cooking skills were also an important reason why Hela liked him. Hela was originally not a foodie. However, Yi-Bai had turned Hela into a foodie now. "Did you cause trouble outside?" While eating the noodles, Hela asked Yi-Bai. "No, I don't break the law. What trouble can I cause?" Yi-Bai denied on the spot. He did not want Hela to know about outside trouble. It was just a gangster. He could handle it himself. Well, then you should be careful. Hela didn't delve into it. She knew that Yi-Bai didn't want to make her worry about it. So she didn't plan to ask more. But she took out a black ring and placed it in front of Yi-Bai. Take it and keep it with you, so I can be rest assured. Hela didn't explain too much, nor did she tell Yi-Bai that she formed this ring using her divine power. It could withstand a blow from a powerful person at the Heavenly Father's level. She specially prepared it for Yi-Bai's protection. This is the first time you gave me something. I will cherish it. Yi-Bai didn't ask too much, just picked up the ring and put it on the ring finger. In Yi-Bai's view, this ring was mostly similar to the peace talisman. Hela should have specially prayed for him to protect him from harm. She should be seeking it as a psychological effect. In fact, this ring was made by Hela with a lot of supernatural power, and it should be considered a divine tool in Asgard. Just like how Yi-Bai would worry about Hela's safety, Hela would also worry about Yi-Bai's safety. After all, to Hela, Yi-Bai seemed to be just an ordinary mortal. Of course, it was a mortal who pleased Hela. Knowing the fragility of mortals, Hela made this divine artifact ring specially. She was just not willing to see Yi-Bai have an accident. Perhaps, we should consider how to transform Yi-Bai into a god. Hela thought to herself. As Yi-Bai had put on the ring, she prepared. There would be basically no danger for him in a place as small as Midgard. But mortal life had a limit. Now, Hela had to consider how to extend Yi-Bai's life. Hela was very greedy. She not only wanted Yi-Bai to accompany herself for 100 years, she wanted Yi-Bai to accompany herself forever. I have eaten, and I will go up and rest first. She could not realize the idea of turning Yi-Bai into a god for the time being. Hence Hela did not say it clearly, but planned to go upstairs to rest as usual. Well, I have an autograph meeting today. I have to go out later, and I may come back later. You can call Aunt Lu directly at noon and ask her to prepare lunch. Yi-Bai nodded and also made his own arrangements. Aunt Lu was Yi-Bai's nanny. Although Aunt Lu had very few opportunities to cook, she could cook good Sichuan cuisine. I see, you should pay attention to safety outside. Hela's tone was still cold. This was her character. Fanatic moments like last night, after all, were still a minority. Yi-Bai had gotten used to it too. He drove away after packing the utensils on the table. What he didn't know was that on the second floor of the manor, next to the window of the master bedroom, Hela watched him go away. The mortal who is going against Yi-Bai is named Kingpin, isn't it? Hela said softly, but her eyes didn't have the tenderness that she had in front of Yi-Bai. They were filled with cold-killing intent. Although Yi-Bai did not tell Hela anything about the matter, Hela naturally had her own way to find out. After learning that Yi-Bai was targeted by a mortal named Kingpin, Hela planned to do something. Yi-Bai was her man, and she could only bully him. Was a mere mortal worthy? After confirming that Yi-Bai had left the manor and would not return in a short time, Hela also disappeared from the room. In Kingpin's building. Kingpin did not understand, and couldn't figure out what special identity Yi-Bai had. This feeling was very awkward. He was the underworld emperor. When had he been so confused? He didn't even know who the opponent was. This was too bad for someone like him, who liked to control everything. And he didn't know why Kingpin had a strong sense of crisis in his heart. As if something terrible was about to happen. This made Kingpin very uncomfortable. After mobilizing a large number of assassins to protect him, Kingpin breathed a sigh of relief and felt safe. Then, a woman in a black dress broke in. Kingpin was also watching the surveillance video. The woman easily killed his men, and they had no ability to resist. Who is this woman, and why did she suddenly come in and kill my people? Even if someone allowed Kingpin to break his head, he couldn't think of when he had provoked such a terrible woman. The assassins under his own hands were strictly trained, and their level of skill was comparable to that of the military special forces. But under the hands of this terrible woman, they were vulnerable, fragile, and pitiful. There was no doubt that this woman who suddenly broke into the Kingpin's mansion was Hela. Through the souls of these assassins, Hela learned about the existence of Kingpin, and then he came to the door without hesitation. This was Hela's style. Hela, who was arrogant but easy to push down in front of Yi-Bai, was just her appearance in front of Yi-Bai. The true Hela was the goddess of death, the ruthless person who spread death and killing on the universe. With a boom, Hela kicked open the door of Kingpin's office. As for Kingpin's subordinates, all of them had lost their lives. Because Hela came too fast, Kingpin didn't even have a chance to escape. He was blocked by Hela. It seems that you are Kingpin. After Hela entered the room, she saw a big, fat bald man and knew that this was the enemy she was looking for. Then a sword of the night sky appeared in her hand, and Kingpin's life was about to end. Episode 8, Signing Event. Madam, can I ask for the reason? Kingpin felt the threat of death, but he did not sit back and wait for his death. Instead, he actively tried to find a way for himself to survive. If you want your life to be spared, you must first understand why Hela was an enemy of yourself. Only by understanding the reason would it be possible to resolve the enmity. My name is Hela, Yi-Bai's wife. Hela didn't kill him right away, but explained it. The significance of doing this was just to make Kingpin die after knowing who killed him. Kingpin was still planning to say something more, but Hela's sword of the night sky fell down, piercing his strong and sturdy body. Hela was not interested in wasting time here. She had to go back to rest as soon as possible after solving the problem. She was still injured. Odin's seal was not so easy to break. The poor underworld emperor, Kingpin, who didn't even get a chance to beg for mercy, died under Hela's hand. Even the cause of his death was unclear. After finishing all this, Hela stopped staying and disappeared from the room in the blink of an eye. After a long time, a mechanical sound rang. A secret compartment in the room opened, and a group of gangsters armed with heavy firearms walked out of the secret room. The last person who came out was a round bald fat man with a height of 2 meters. He was the real Kingpin. He had been hiding in the secret room. The one killed by Hela before was just the stand-in he pushed to the front. Boss, the woman is gone. We are temporarily safe. A fierce-faced bald head came to Kingpin and said to him. This was Kingpin's #1 assassin, the fierce Bullseye, a ruthless killing machine. Let's go, let's change places. Kingpin told him with a cold face. Everything that happened today made Kingpin feel terrible. Because of one Yi-Bai, he was not only threatened by S.H.I.E.L.D. Bureau, but now he was almost killed by a terrifying woman. If he knew this a long time ago, he wouldn't do anything to Yi-Bai. And what was Yi-Bai's identity in the end? This effect was too great. It was S.H.I.E.L.D. again, and another terrible woman, about whom he didn't have a slightest clue. Would there be Superman and aliens in the future? This was simply outrageous. But Kingpin's means and methods as an underworld emperor were still okay. Since it had been confirmed that Yi-Bai was someone he couldn't afford to provoke, it's okay not to provoke him. Couldn't afford to fight, but still couldn't he hide? Yi-Bai didn't know what Hela did. In Yi-Bai's heart, Hela should lie down on the bed of the two of them and go back to sleep. At this time, he was doing an autograph meeting at a university in the famous Ivy League. As the most popular best-selling author in recent years, Yi-Bai was still very famous. An autograph event not only attracted many college students, but also many of Yi-Bai's book fans came from other cities to get a book signed by Yi-Bai. This was the true love fan. Yi-Bai's attitude towards these leaks who were willing to pay for their novels was still very friendly. He patiently signed the book fans who were waiting in line and wrote a blessing slogan. Hello, Mr. Yi-Bai, I am a loyal fan of your books, and I especially like your book, Star Trek. Could you please sign me? Standing in front of Yi-Bai was a beautiful girl with wine-red hair. The pleasant facial features had a natural charm. She made Yi-Bai feel a sense of oppression even more. Undoubtedly, this Maomei was a stunner, and she was too big. Helas were not small, but they were just not as spectacular as those in front of him. But Yi-Bai just glanced at it and stopped paying attention. My own wife was the best. A beautiful lady. What should I write? Yi-Bai answered with a friendly smile to the beautiful girl in front of him. Thank you for your generosity, let me think about writing something. Well, just write, I wish you always be beautiful, to my dear Ms. Natasha. That's all. Maui named Natasha Romanoff said with a smile, and handed the Star Trek she was holding to Yi-Bai. Yi-Bai did not reveal Natasha's identity, and quickly wrote the blessings, and then returned the book to her. At this time, Natasha didn't know yet. Her identity had been exposed. She was still thinking about how to prepare for the next encounter, so as to get close to Yi-Bai. As an agent, using the lustful psychology that men have to achieve their goals was a required course for every female agent. It's a pity, Yi-Bai's heart was still like water now. Unless it was his wife, Hela, otherwise no woman could tempt him. Natasha's calculations were doomed to fail from the very beginning. Besides, how hungry Yi-Bai would have to be before going to Natasha. The Black Widow who was born as an agent didn't know how many guests had been in the scene. Hela was different. Her true feelings were as a blank sheet of paper, which belonged to Yi-Bai. The purity of the two was not comparable at all. After Natasha left, Yi-Bai sat at the signing party for 2 more hours and signed the books. Thanks to Yi-Bai's physique, now far surpassing ordinary people, otherwise he would have to take a break. Soon, the signing event ended successfully, and the time became noon. It stands to reason that Yi-Bai should go home at this time and prepare lunch for his wife Hela. But Yi-Bai still had things to deal with, so he didn't plan to go back yet. Kingpin. Yi-Bai thought in his heart. Yi-Bai would naturally not let go of the person that had provoked him. Tooth for tooth, blood for blood. This was Yi-Bai's code of conduct. Poor Kingpin didn't realize at this time that his troubles were far from over. At this moment, Kingpin was still hiding in an underground warehouse with his henchmen. This warehouse was secretly built by Kingpin, and it was used to store his private property, including billions of dollars in cash, as well as 10 tons of gold and numerous jewelry. For such a huge wealth, one could imagine how strong the defense force of this place would be. The steel plate was installed on the surrounding walls. The thickness of the steel plate was nearly 2 meters, and even a missile could not penetrate it. In addition, hundreds of elite gangsters equipped with heavy firepower were guarding them, to ensure that there was nothing wrong. Even after coming here, Kingpin did not feel a sense of security. Bullseye, have you contacted the person you contacted before? Kingpin asked his number 1 assassin. Bullseye was an assassin, and as an assassin with superpowers. Naturally, he knew many mutants who also had superpowers. After his double was killed by Hela, Kingpin began to prepare to hire the mutants to form a guard to protect his safety. Don't worry, boss, they will be here soon. Bullseye calmly said. Unlike Kingpin, who was scared, Bullseye was actually not afraid. Although Hela was powerful, Bullseye felt that he was not without the power to battle her. What age were you in, still using this primitive attack method? Didn't you know that only guns were the absolute king in this era? Well, the superiority of the Bullseye to Hela in his thoughts was based on the fact that Hela's attack method was not as good as firearms. Episode 9, Punching Through Steel Plates with Bare Hands. You should ask them to come here quickly. I always feel that things are not over yet. Kingpin said while smoking a cigar. He was feeling unsafe. After seeing Kingpin's appearance, many people would think that Kingpin was a brave person. This was actually an illusion. They were deceived by the Kingpin's body shape. He was brave, but he was by no means a foolish man. Otherwise, it was impossible for him to rule the underworld world for over 10 years. If he had no brains, he would have been bombed into the sky long ago. Boss, you are too cautious. Why don't you give me 100 million and I will help you get rid of that woman? Bullseye was different from Kingpin's other men. He had little awe of him. To put it bluntly, the relation between Bullseye and Kingpin could only be regarded as a long-term cooperative relationship, not the real superior-subordinate relation. I don't mind if you want to die, but don't involve me. That woman, you can't handle her. Kingpin glared at Bullseye and cursed in his heart. How did people like him live until now? Just as the Bullseye looked down on Kingpin's timidness and cautiousness, Kingpin also looked down on Bullseye, who worked without caution. As for which of the two was stronger, everyone knew who was the boss. Boom. Just when Kingpin was talking to the Bullseye, a loud noise suddenly sounded, making everyone nervous. What's the matter? What the hell happened? Kingpin immediately stood up from his seat and asked the surrounding subordinates. He was now a frightened bird, and any wind and grass would make him frightened. Let alone such a big movement. It seems something is attacking the wall. One of Kingpin's subordinates said bitterly. Don't worry, these walls are 2-meter thick steel plates, even missiles can't penetrate them. Bullseye was still calm and steady. He was not worried that the wall would be pierced. But soon even the Bullseye couldn't remain calm. Because the loud noise rang again, it came from the wall on the right of everyone. And unlike before, this time, the obvious protrusion of the wall accompanied the loud noise. This showed that the wall, which was loaded with 2-meter thick steel plates, was being punctured roughly. F***K, shit. What the hell is this? Kingpin completely broke down, swearing, so as to dispel his inner tension as much as possible. Boss, you're right. We really provoked some big shot. Bullseye also had a bitter face at this time, without the confidence it had before. No matter how arrogant the Bullseye was, he didn't think he could penetrate a 2-meter thick steel plate. This was simply not something humans could do. Kingpin then gave the Bullseye a fiercely stern look. It's up to you. Boom. The sound of the third impact came again. This time, the protrusion of the wall was more obvious. The entire wall bulged up a big bag, as if some wild beast might break through the wall and come in at any time. Prepare, no matter what comes in later, fire on it. Although Kingpin was flustered, he didn't completely lose his sense and commanded his men. As for Kingpin himself, he had quietly come behind everyone. He was ready to escape at any time if the situation was not right. Boom. The sound of the fourth impact was heard, accompanied by a steel wall being completely torn apart. It's just that the opening was too small to allow a person to pass through. But even so, it was scary enough. Boom. The last impact sounded again. This time, the entire wall was punched in a big hole. Then a handsome man in casual clothes stepped in. Undoubtedly, this person was Yi-Bai. General Zod's body template gave Yi-Bai the physique of a Kryptonian who could become stronger in the yellow sun and gain super hearing. It was also by relying on super hearing that Yi-Bai found the underground warehouse of Kingpin. Then Yi-Bai came to the door and punched through the 2-meter-thick steel plate with his bare hands. Fire! The moment Yi-Bai came in, Kingpin was severely shocked. There was a human being in front of him, but what he was doing was not human at all. Could normal humans penetrate a 2-meter-thick steel plate? So Kingpin did not hesitate to let his subordinates fire, intended to use the power of technology to solve a monster in front of him. Faced with such heavy firepower, Yi-Bai did not evade. He did not even close his eyes. Using guns to deal with Kryptonians could only be said to be good and very imaginative. Human firearms, let alone other body parts, could not penetrate even the most vulnerable eyes. Yi-Bai allowed this firepower to fall on him, and to him it felt almost like rain. Then in front of everyone, Yi-Bai faced the metal storm and began to harvest the lives of everyone present. The human body is fragile and pitiful in front of the Kryptonians, no different from paper. Watching Yi-Bai's slaughter, Kingpin completely panicked. He didn't know how to deal with such a monster. Let's run. Kingpin wisely chose to withdraw strategically, but it was a pity that Yi-Bai did not give him this opportunity. After killing everyone present at super speed, Yi-Bai came in front of Kingpin and blocked his way. As for the poor bullseye, Yi-Bai had already twisted his neck. Wait a minute, can we sit down and talk? It's impossible to resist, and Kingpin didn't think about resisting. Such a humanoid monster. Who could resist? Still have a good talk and see if we could fight for a dignified way of death. Okay, how do you want to talk? Yi-Bai didn't care either. Faced with the absolute power gap, he was not afraid of Kingpin playing any tricks. You are Mr. Yi-Bai, right? I have seen your picture. As for the past, I apologize to you. That was not my intention. It was a stupid decision made by one of my subordinates. He is dead, and now in the dog's belly, he had to pay for the mistakes he made. So, can you let me go? I swear I really haven't thought about how to deal with you. Faced with the threat of death, Kingpin did not have the humorous manner of talking and laughing in the past. It was like a kid who had done something wrong, trying to clear his own fault. Really? Then what? Yi-Bai still sneered, but his heart was unmoved. If Kingpin couldn't give him a satisfactory explanation, he would die today. Chopping the grass, but not removing the roots, when the spring breeze blows, the grass would regenerate. Yi-Bai still understood this truth. Kingpin took a deep breath, forced himself to calm down, and then said, well, even if you kill me, what can you get? You can only get a chaotic New York City, and then the new underworld emperor will provoke you. After all, your value is really amazing. If you let me go, you will be my master in the future. I promise that similar things won't happen again. No one will disturb you and your wife. Don't you think this is okay? Kingpin understood that it was impossible for him to live if Yi-Bai didn't forgive him. It was impossible for Yi-Bai to forgive him. So instead of begging for mercy, he wanted to show his own value. As long as Yi-Bai felt that he was still useful, his chances of living would be much greater. Facts have proved that Kingpin's choice was not wrong. Episode 10, Consolidation. Yi-Bai thought about the scene after Kingpin died and found that what he said really made sense. As the current underworld emperor, Kingpin's death would surely bring chaos to the underworld of New York City. When the fanatics in the underworld were not bound by the rules, it was certain that there would be trouble. Although Yi-Bai was not afraid of these underworld fanatics, it was still a trouble after all. Therefore, Yi-Bai did not intend to kill Kingpin now. You are very smart. You have successfully convinced me. I hope you remember what you said today, and don't bother me again. Otherwise, next time I will unscrew your head and I will do what I say. Don't doubt if I can find you. As long as you are on the earth, you can't run away. It was a very straightforward threat, and it could be regarded as a warning to Kingpin. As for whether Kingpin believed it or not, that was his business. If he didn't believe it, Yi-Bai would fulfill what he had said before about unscrewing his head. How could Kingpin not believe it? You had already penetrated 2 meters of steel plate. How could he dare not to believe it? Kingpin did not believe that his body was stronger than steel. After hearing that Yi-Bai was willing to give himself another chance, Kingpin almost collapsed with relief at surviving the disaster. At the same time, he decided that even if he committed suicide, he would never provoke Yi-Bai and his wife. Not only that, Kingpin also planned to send a large number of people to lurch beside Yi-Bai's manor. So this murderer will not be offended by people with short eyes. It could be said that when Yi-Bai left Kingpin alive, not only did he achieve his goal but he also saved himself from many troubles that may occur in the future. With Kingpin's help, at least some guys who couldn't make it to the table were unlikely to cause trouble to Yi-Bai. Those gangsters who planned to kidnap Yi-Bai would be thrown into the blender and fed to the dogs by him before they came to Yi-Bai. After solving the problem of Kingpin, Yi-Bai left the underground warehouse. Before leaving, Yi-Bai also took away a set of Kingpin's clothes. In the previous metal storm, while Yi-Bai himself was unharmed, his clothes were blown to pieces. This was the price of pretense. After seeing that the killing god had finally left, Kingpin was relieved. He sat on the ground and gasped. It was too scary. Facing a monster like Yi-Bai was really too scary. Kingpin was also considered a bold master, but he was still scared when he faced such a monster. Being an ordinary person, there was a possibility of being scared to death alive. Fortunately, he still survived with his small life. After a long time, Kingpin calmed down, and the majesty of the Underworld Emperor appeared on him again. He was going to summon his men and announce a major order. In the future, in New York City, whoever dared to be an enemy of Yi-Bai would be his enemy. Why did you come back so late today? At sunset, Yi-Bai returned to his manor. Hela was awake, complaining to Yi-Bai. She looked like a wife who complained about her husband coming home too late. After the signing event was over, I had another meal with the publisher, which wasted time. Yi-Bai told a white lie. He didn't want Hela to worry too much. As a man, you shouldn't bring the ups and downs of the outside world back to your home, let alone make your wife worry about yourself. Hela didn't think too much. It was just a routine question. Now that Yi-Bai had the artifact ring she made, plus the culprit Kingpin who had already fallen, she was not too worried about Yi-Bai's safety. I want to ask you a question? If one day you find out that I am not the one you are familiar with, what would you do? Hela suddenly asked such a dumb question, which made Yi-Bai feel a little confused. But looking at Hela's expectant and perturbed eyes, Yi-Bai's heart still softened. Fool, I like you just as you are. No matter how you are, I will still like you. Yi-Bai walked to Hela, touched her hair, and said with a smile. This intimate action made Hela blush once again. She was still not used to such an intimate action. But she didn't object. She was just feeling shy. If one day you find out that I am a bad person, would you still like me? Hela didn't care about Yi-Bai's messy hands on her head, and looked at Yi-Bai's eyes and asked another question. Yi-Bai did not immediately answer. He vaguely felt that today's Hela seemed a little different. He couldn't say anything concretely. He just felt that she had something on her mind. Yi-Bai took away his messy hands from Hela's head and hugged Hela's waist. You are my wife. Even if you are a bad guy, you will still be my wife. No matter what you become, I will love you. Yi-Bai gently said in Hela's ear. The exhaled heat blew on Hela's earlobe, making the earlobe bright red visible to the naked eye. I hate it. Hela struggled symbolically, but soon closed her eyes and let Yi-Bai do as he pleased. It was too late today to let Hela rest first. Sky Mothership, S.H.I.E.L.D. Natasha returned to her glamorous appearance and put away the face of the girl she had in front of Yi-Bai. She quickly entered Nick Fury's office and started to report. During the first contact with the target, there was not much progress. I am not his dish. The goal Natasha talked about was naturally Yi-Bai. When Natasha went to contact Yi-Bai, she naturally got information from Nick Fury. Otherwise, she wouldn't even know who Yi-Bai was. It's normal. According to the investigation, Yi-Bai and his wife have a very good relationship. They are an excellent couple. Nick Fury said confidently, not surprised by the result of Natasha's first contact. Before contacting Yi-Bai, Nick Fury naturally had to investigate first. As Yi-Bai's wife, Hela would naturally not be left out. What puzzled Nick Fury was that he could not find any information about Hela. He only found out that about a year ago, Hela suddenly appeared next to Yi-Bai, just like falling from the sky. This made Nick Fury think more about Hela's identity. Was it really accidental that she met Yi-Bai, or was it someone from another organization who had placed her next to Yi-Bai? The former was okay, but the latter, Nick Fury, must take it seriously. So, why didn't Coulson do this thing? You have to find me. Do you want me to destroy the relationship between the target and his wife? I don't remember that S.H.I.E.L.D. is also responsible for divorce. Natasha spat out. She still couldn't understand what kind of mentality Nick Fury had when he asked her to contact Yi-Bai. Hearing Natasha's complaint, Nick Fury almost didn't choke. This was too embarrassing. But what Natasha said was right. He did think about letting Natasha seduce Yi-Bai, and it was best if Yi-Bai was inseparable from Natasha. Compared to the woman, Hela, whose details were not clear, Yi-Bai's wife should obviously be Natasha, a person whose information was clearly known. It was also more in line with S.H.I.E.L.D's interests. Of course, Nick Fury couldn't arrange this kind of thing either. Everything depended on Natasha's own thoughts. As for Hela, if possible, Nick Fury would also like to contact her to take a closer look.